power couple who really needs no introduction. That would be Amal and her husband, George, as in Clooney.
The work that Amal Clooney has done for 15 years received just that kind of boost when she married one of Hollywood's biggest stars, George Clooney.
Amal Clooney just dropped a jaw-dropping bombshell about her husband, George Clooney, and it's really shaking up their perfect couple image. Fans are shocked as they are all trying to make sense of her surprising revelation. And everyone's wondering what this could mean for the couple and their future. It's hard to believe that this power duo, who always seems so flawless, could be facing something so unexpected. Could this shocking revelation change everything for George and Amal? And how will this affect their marriage? Join us as we reveal the full story behind this shocking news. Amal Clooney's shocking separation from George Clooney. After almost a decade of marriage, George and Amal Clooney are now facing one of their most difficult challenges. The Hollywood superstar and the renowned human rights lawyer are on the verge of breaking up and are preparing for a 6-month separation.
Another power couple are headed for a split. Yes, you heard that right. If reports are to be believed, George Clooney and Amal Amaluddin are headed for a $300 million split.
While their love has endured many ups and downs over the years, this decision has everyone talking. Amal will reportedly stay in France with their twins, Alexander and Ella, while George will move to the United States to pursue his Broadway debut. However, this separation is really going to test their relationship in ways we have not seen before. And Amal's choice to focus on their kids' stability is understandable. But could this distance mean there are bigger issues in their marriage? Why is Amal so set on keeping the family apart while George is diving into this major career moment? Keep watching to find out more. George Clooney's world was centered on one thing, which was his career, before everything changed, before meeting Amal. His early life was marked by a constant search for purpose, but it was in the entertainment industry that he found his true calling. While many people might say love is what makes life worth living, for George, it was his drive to succeed that shaped who he is. It was not only about acting, but about proving himself, making a name, and finding his place in an industry where competition was fierce, and only the most determined could rise to the top. This is the story of how George Clooney's focus on career shaped his path before love entered the picture. Now, let's take a look at how George's early years laid the groundwork for a career that eventually made him a household name. George Clooney was born on May 6, 1961, in Lexington, Kentucky, into a family that already had ties to the entertainment world. His father, Nick Clooney, was a respected journalist and TV host, while his aunt, Rosemary Clooney, was a famous singer and actress. Growing up, George had a glimpse of what a career in show business could look like, but he didn't jump into it right away. In fact, his path was far from straightforward. As a child, Clooney struggled with dyslexia, a learning disability that made school difficult for him. But despite this, he found ways to shine. He was athletic and excelled in baseball, and even dreamed of becoming a professional player. At one point, he tried out for the Cincinnati Reds, but didn't make the team. This rejection was a turning point for George. It forced him to think about what he truly wanted to do with his life, even though he didn't know it yet that acting would soon become his calling. In the late 1970s, Clooney enrolled at Northern Kentucky University, where he studied broadcast journalism, following in his father's footsteps. However, it wasn't long before he realized that reporting was not for him. Around this time, his cousin Miguel Ferrer, a fellow actor, invited him to work on a movie project. Although the project didn't go anywhere, it sparked something in George. He decided to move to Los Angeles in 1982 to pursue acting seriously. When Clooney arrived in Hollywood, He was just another hopeful in a sea of aspiring actors. The competition was fierce, and the roles were scarce. For years, he took whatever work he could find, appearing in small TV roles and commercials. During this time, he also worked odd jobs to make ends meet, including selling women's shoes and cutting tobacco on a farm.
Like, I should give it up because honestly, what was I going to give it up? I'd go back and sell ladies' shoes. That's, by the way, let me just say that it's a shocking thing.
These years were tough, but they taught Clooney the value of resilience. His persistence eventually paid off when he landed a recurring role on the sitcom The Facts of Life in 1985. While it wasn't a breakout role, it gave him enough exposure to secure more work. Over the next decade, Clooney appeared in a variety of TV shows, including Roseanne and The Golden Girls. These roles helped him gain experience, but they didn't bring him the fame he was chasing. However, that all changed in 1994. Clooney's big break came when he was cast as Dr. Doug Ross on the medical drama ER. The show was an instant hit, and Clooney's portrayal of the charming yet troubled pediatrician made him a household name. Overnight, he went from being a struggling actor to one of the most recognizable faces on television. But Clooney didn't let the success of ER define him. He saw it as a stepping stone, not a destination. While working on ER, Clooney began taking on movie roles, determined to make the leap from TV to the big screen. His early movie roles included From Dusk Till Dawn and One Fine Day in 1996. These films showed his versatility and proved that he could hold his own as a leading man. However, it wasn't until Out of Sight in 1998, directed by Steven Soderbergh, that Clooney truly cemented his place in Hollywood. The partnership with Soderbergh was a turning point in Clooney's career. They worked together on several successful projects, including Ocean's 11 in 2001 and its sequels. These films not only solidified Clooney's status as a box office star, but also showed his ability to blend charisma with depth. Around this time, Clooney began to expand his focus beyond acting. In 2002, Clooney made his directorial debut with Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. The film was a critical success and marked the beginning of Clooney's journey as a filmmaker. Over the years, he directed and produced several acclaimed films, including Good Night and Good Luck in 2005, which earned him multiple Oscar nominations. Clooney's ability to juggle acting, directing, and producing made him one of the most respected figures in the industry. Through it all, Clooney remained fiercely dedicated to his work. His career was not only about fame or money, it was about storytelling and creating meaningful art. Even as he achieved success, he continued to push himself, taking on challenging roles in films like Syriana, which he won an Academy Award, and Michael Clayton in 2007. These performances showed Clooney's depth as an actor and his commitment to his craft. Stay tuned as we delve more into this. George Clooney's life of purpose and dedication through activism. In addition to his illustrious film career, George Clooney is widely recognized for his commitment to activism and philanthropy. Beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, Clooney used his influence to champion humanitarian causes and advocate for global issues that needed urgent attention. For him, success in the entertainment industry wasn't just about accolades. It was also about having a platform to create meaningful change. One of the most notable areas of Clooney's activism is his involvement in raising awareness about the Darfur crisis.
These are not military targets. These are innocent men, women, and children. That is a fact. The indiscriminate bombing of innocent civilians is defined as a war crime in the Geneva Convention.
The conflict in Darfur, Sudan, which began in 2003, resulted in a devastating humanitarian crisis marked by violence, displacement, and widespread suffering. Clooney became one of the most prominent voices advocating for the victims of this tragedy. In 2006, he co-founded the advocacy organization Not on Our Watch. Alongside fellow actors Don Cheadle, Matt Damon, and Brad Pitt, this organization aimed to prevent mass atrocities around the world, with Darfur as its primary focus during its early years. Through this initiative, Clooney not only brought global attention to the crisis, but also raised significant funds to support relief efforts. In 2010, Clooney took his activism a step further by co-founding the Satellite Sentinel Project. This innovative initiative combined technology and humanitarianism to monitor human rights abuses in conflict zones. Using satellite imagery, the project worked to provide real-time evidence of atrocities in Sudan and South Sudan, with the goal of preventing further violence and holding perpetrators accountable. Clooney's involvement in such projects demonstrated his deep commitment to justice and human rights, far beyond simply lending his name to a cause. Clooney's dedication to activism extended beyond Darfur. Over the years, he has supported a wide range of causes, from helping with disaster relief to standing up for refugee rights. After the September 11th terrorist attacks, he organized The America, a tribute to heroes telethon, which raised millions of dollars for the victims and their families. Then, after the massive earthquake in Haiti in 2010, he took charge of the Hope for Haiti Now telethon, bringing together celebrities and encouraging audiences to donate to help with recovery. These efforts really showed how Clooney can bring attention and resources to important humanitarian causes. His philanthropic efforts also reflect his deeply personal values. In interviews, he has often spoken about the importance of using his privilege and resources to make a difference in the world. This sense of responsibility is evident in his approach to giving back. For instance, after receiving a significant payment for his endorsement deal with Nespresso, Clooney allocated the funds to support refugee aid programs and other charitable causes. His generosity has extended to his personal life as well. In 2013, he famously gifted $1 million each to 14 of his closest friends as a token of gratitude for their support throughout his career. Despite his Hollywood fame, Clooney's activism has not been without challenges. His outspoken stance on political and humanitarian issues has occasionally drawn criticism and controversy. However, Clooney has remained steadfast in his commitment to making a difference, often using humor and candor to address detractors. In his view, the opportunity to save lives and bring attention to critical issues far outweighs any backlash he might face. What sets Clooney apart as an activist is his ability to balance his Hollywood career with his humanitarian work. Even at the height of his acting success, he made time to advocate for causes he believed in, often traveling to conflict zones or testifying before the United Nations to shed light on global crises. For Clooney, activism was never an afterthought. It was a central part of his identity and purpose. While this work added another layer to his already impressive resume, it also reinforced the idea that Clooney's life was all about purpose and dedication. But Clooney's focus on his career and activism came at a cost. While his professional life flourished, his personal life often took a back seat. Clooney was married once before, in the late 1980s, but the marriage ended in divorce. For years, he was known as Hollywood's most eligible bachelor, famously declaring that he had no plans to marry again.
Yes, I know I'm never going to get married again because I wasn't very good at it.
Instead, he poured all his energy into his work, building a career that few could rival. But by the time Clooney met Amal in 2013, everything changed. Here's the most interesting part. A love story that redefined forever. When it comes to George Clooney's personal and love life, his marriage to Amal Alamuddin is something that everyone seems to talk about. Clooney, who once claimed he would never marry again, met Amal and his decision changed. At first, he wasn't sure about her, but they quickly clicked. However, known for his bachelor lifestyle, Clooney found himself drawn to Amal's intelligence, beauty, and her passion for human rights. Amal, on the other hand, was attracted to Clooney's wit and his drive to make a difference in the world. But before finding lasting love with Amal, Clooney was known for his high-profile relationships with many famous women. His dating history includes a long list of well-known actresses, models, and reality TV stars, all of whom became part of the story of his romantic life. Before meeting Amal, Clooney seemed to be constantly dating, with short-term relationships that often grabbed the headlines and kept the public interested. He was often seen as the ultimate bachelor, a man who could have any of Hollywood's most beautiful women. But he avoided settling down with anyone for the long haul. No matter how serious things got, Clooney never seemed ready to take the leap into marriage again, until Amal came along. One of his first known relationships was with French actress Céline Balitran, whom he dated from 1996 to 1999. Though they were often seen in public, their relationship did not last, and they ended things on good terms. After that, Clooney briefly dated actress Lucy Liu in the late 1990s. As he continued to date a range of women, from Hollywood and beyond, the public's fascination about his love life only grew. One of the most talked about relationships during his bachelor years was his on-again, off-again 5-year romance with British model and television personality Lisa Snowdon. They first met in 2000, and despite being in the public eye, they faced their share of challenges, both personally and in the media. Though they tried to make it work, they broke up in 2005, only to briefly reconnect later, but ultimately parted ways for good. And according to Clooney, he never managed to make a relationship work with Lisa, though they remain on good terms. And as time went on, George continued to date well-known names from various industries. In 2001, he briefly dated actress Renee Zellweger, though the relationship didn't last long. He then went on to date Jennifer Siebel Newsom in 2002, followed by a 6-year romance with actress Krista Allen, who starred in soap operas. They seemed inseparable during their time together, but, like many of George's past relationships, it eventually ended. Not long after his split from Krista, Clooney had a brief romance with actress and model Linda Thompson. However, in 2007, things really started heating up in the tabloids when he began dating reality TV star Sarah Larson. Their relationship was widely covered, and they made many public appearances together. But by 2008, they had broken up after nearly a year. Many speculated that Clooney, always the bachelor, wasn't ready for anything long-term. This was a theme that seemed to follow him throughout his love life. In 2009, George started dating Italian actress Elisabetta Canales, and their relationship attracted significant media attention. The couple was photographed all over the world, and many thought this might finally be the one that led to marriage. But just 2 years later, in 2011, they split, and George returned to his bachelor lifestyle. His difficulty settling down, despite high-profile relationships with stunning women, became a hot topic in the media. That same year, George briefly dated former WWE wrestler Stacy Keibler, and they were known for their glamorous outings and red carpet appearances. However, just like the others, their relationship ended in 2013. For many, it seemed like George Clooney was someone who enjoyed being in relationships but wasn't ready to commit to marriage. especially after his first marriage to Talia Balsam ended in divorce in 1993. All of George Clooney's relationships and public flirtations kept the media and fans buzzing, leaving many wondering if he would ever settle down. He had everything that made him a sought-after bachelor: good looks, a successful career, and a charming and approachable personality. And it was clear he was happy living the bachelor life, with finding companionship, but avoiding the permanence of marriage. But everything changed when Amal Alamuddin came into the picture. Amal was unlike anyone George had been with before, and their first meeting wasn't ordinary. It felt like destiny. In fact, George's agent jokingly predicted that George would marry Amal before they even met. And that joke turned out to be true. Although George was hesitant at first, Amal's intelligence and charm quickly won him over, and they started spending more time together. Their bond grew stronger, not just because of their shared values, but because they connected deeply over their passion for meaningful causes. In 2014, George proposed to Amal, and their connection became even stronger. They were both passionate about making a difference, and one of the first things they worked on together was the fight to return the Elgin marbles to Greece. Amal was involved in this case as part of her work for the Greek government, and George supported it too while promoting his film The Monuments Men. This was just one example of how their lives naturally aligned, making their love seem destined. But like many celebrity couples, they faced challenges. In July 2014, a tabloid stirred up controversy by claiming Amal's mother did not approve of their relationship. However, George wasn't about to let false stories tarnish their happiness. He publicly called out the Daily Mail for spreading lies, and while the magazine apologized, George refused to accept it, showing just how protective he was of their relationship. In September 2014, George and Amal tied the knot in Venice, Italy, making it an unforgettable moment. They received their marriage license from the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea and held a beautiful ceremony at Ca' Farsetti. The wedding was filled with A-list guests, including Bill Murray and Cindy Crawford. But despite the star-studded affair, George and Amal kept some moments private, cherishing time for themselves. However, their love story isn't only about their grand wedding. It's about their shared mission to make the world a better place. In 2016, Clooney made a significant impact closer to home. Alongside his wife, Amal Clooney, a renowned human rights lawyer, he co-founded the Clooney Foundation for Justice. The foundation focuses on promoting justice and accountability worldwide, with programs that support marginalized communities and advocate for the rights of vulnerable individuals. Projects under the foundation include efforts to combat systemic injustice, provide free legal support to refugees and victims of oppression, and hold perpetrators of human rights abuses accountable. Amal's expertise in international law and George's platform as a public figure made the foundation a powerful force for change. However, in 2017, they welcomed twins, Ella and Alexander, into their lives. George, who once stated he never wanted kids, found himself overjoyed by fatherhood. Becoming a dad changed him in the best way, and he and Amal embraced parenthood wholeheartedly. The couple has worked hard to create a loving and nurturing home for their children, even going so far as to teach them Italian, a language neither parent speaks fluently. It's just one of the many thoughtful ways they've committed to raising their kids with care and love. But life hasn't always been perfect for the Clooneys. In 2018, George had a frightening accident when he was hit by a car while riding a motorcycle in Sardinia. Thankfully, he recovered, but it was a stark reminder of how fragile life can be. Through it all, George and Amal have stood by each other, offering unwavering support in every challenge they face. But here's the most heartbreaking part. Amal Clooney's decision to stay in France while George pursues Broadway. As George and Amal continue to share their journey together, they're now facing a new kind of challenge, one that will test the strength of their bond in ways they've never experienced before. After years of staying close and navigating their busy lives side by side, they are now dealing with the reality of being apart for an extended period. George's Broadway debut is a dream come true for him as he's stepping into the stage adaptation of Good Night and Good Luck, the critically acclaimed film he directed and co-wrote. But it's also pulling him away from his family for 6 months, a situation that feels very different from anything they've faced before. For a couple that's always prioritized staying close, this separation will be one of their hardest yet. In the past, George and Amal have always found ways to stick together, no matter how hectic life became. Amal often accompanied George to movie shoots and public events, managing to balance their busy schedules. But this time, things are different. Their twins, Alexander and Ella, are now in school, and uprooting them mid-year isn't an option. And now Amal is focused on maintaining stability for the kids while staying in France, and George fully supports her decision. However, despite the distance, George is committed to staying involved in his children's lives. He plans to use FaceTime and messaging apps to stay connected every day, making sure to call Alexander and Ella before bedtime, no matter how busy his schedule may get. While it's clear that this period of separation will be a challenge, George and Amal have always shown resilience in their relationship. The couple has remained focused on their shared commitment to family, and George has expressed his belief that 6 months will pass quickly. And Amal's decision to stay behind is based on the desire to maintain stability for their children. Keeping them in their routine during school is a priority, and she's dedicated to ensuring they have a secure and steady environment. So what are your thoughts on George and Amal's 6-month separation? Do you think their commitment to family will help them stay strong during this time apart? Drop it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.